Hello, second grade. It's so good to see you again. This measurement has been so much fun, and there is more for us to do. In fact, we have 2 more weeks of measurement to go, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. This week, we get to do some more measuring, and then we get to estimate, which we're going to start doing in a couple days. I am so excited to get started with it. I think you're going to enjoy it too. Let's go ahead and get our learning targets ready and see what we're going to find out today. I can measure objects using different units. I can compare my measurements. We actually have 2 learning targets today. I liked both of these and I couldn't pick just one. So let's dive into this learning target and see what we're actually going to be learning about today. It says I can measure objects using different units. So when we measure something, we're finding out how long it is or how wide it is. That's the kind of measurement we're doing today. And we're measuring objects. That means different things. But we're measuring them using different units. And when we say different units, golly bum, I guess 2 weeks ago, those different units were our tiles or our cubes, or we were measuring with paper clips even. That's not what we started doing last week. Last week, we were talking about using standard units of measure. And those standard units of measure included an inch, centimeter, foot, yards, and even meters. Those were our standard units of measure. Our unit is what are we using to measure it. Now, our standard units of measure are the same no matter what. Our non-standard units, like our counters or our cubes, or our tiles, those could be different depending on who's using them, right? So our standard units are what we're going to be focusing on over the next couple weeks. Now, we are using different units, and you can tell that with our first problem. But before I dive into that, let's look at our second learning target. It says I can compare my measurements. When we compare something, we might be thinking about comparing a story, right? Comparing characters. Well, when we compare numbers, compare lengths, compare measurements, all we're doing is finding out what's similar and then what's different, okay? So we're going to be comparing our measurements today with those different units. This unit and this unit, how are they similar and how are they different? Excited, right? Me too. Let's take a peek at our first problem. My girls are the topic of our story. Eloise and Addie were measuring paper clips. We've got lots of paper clips at our house. Eloise, and they argue a lot. Eloise says this paper clip is 3 centimeters long. And let me tell you why she says they're 3 centimeters long. And I'm actually going to show you up close because the paper clip's kind of far away. And then our ruler will be far away. So I want to zoom in so you can see this. Eloise measured it quite nicely. She started at her 0. Remember that from last week? And she saw where it stopped. And where do you see it stopping? Yeah, you can see it stopping right there on that 3. So we know that this is a centimeter, this is the 2nd centimeter, and this is the 3rd centimeter, okay? So she says it's 3 centimeters long. Agree? Seeing some wiggle waggles? That makes sense, right? Well, Addie says, no, sister. When I measured that same paper clip, looks the exact same. It's not a big one and a little one. Same paper clip. She says, mine was an inch long. 1 inch. About. Close to. Okay? Means maybe it wasn't quite exact, but it was pretty close. And let me show you why she said that. Now, again, my ruler. I have my centimeters on this side, my inches on this side. Addie did the same thing. She's been listening to mommy with measurement over the last couple of weeks, and she started at the 0. And you can see it's a hair longer than 1, but not much, right? It's pretty close. So it's about 1 inch. And she even knew it wasn't exactly, but it was pretty close to it. So I'm actually even going to add this little about 1 inch long. Now, 3 and 1 are not the same number, are they? They most certainly are not. Now, what are our units that we're using or that they use to measure this paper clip? What were their units or their standard units? Yes, one of the units they used were inches. What was another unit that they used? Centimeters. So, how can this one be 3 centimeters long and this one be about 1 inch long? How can that length be 2 different answers? How can that length be 2 different answers? What do you notice? And if you all have a ruler at home, look at it. What do you notice about those centimeter units and the inch units? Take a minute and look at those. What do you notice about the centimeter units? That 1 centimeter spot right there. And what do you notice about the inch unit? Thumbs in front of your tummies. What do you notice about those 2 units? They're not the same size. Who agrees with that, friend? Yeah, these units are not the same size. How can we understand that a little bit better? You know what? I thought it was on this vocabulary chart, but it's not quite. When we think about a centimeter, it's about a pinky wide, isn't it? Our centimeter is about a pinky wide. I'm gonna get a skinnier marker to show that. So there's my pinky. Here's my pinky. And here's my pinky. That paper clip was about 3 pinkies long. 3 of those pinkies makes up that one paper clip. How big about is an inch? Yeah, when I measure it, it's about my thumb. It's about about the size of this part of my thumb. Everybody see that? You all, and I measured my own personal kiddos. 2 of my kids are late first graders. I measured their fingers, and their thumbs were about 1 inch long. In fact, their whole thumb was about 1 inch long. From the knuckle here to the tip of their thumb was about 1 inch. So if you were to compare your pinky finger, the tip of your pinky finger, to the length of your thumb, that's a big difference, isn't it? So instead of it being 3 pinkies, it was about 1 thumb long. That's a much longer unit of measure, isn't it? So then why are they not the same? They're not the same size. So then which one do we need more of to measure something? Why do we need more centimeters? Because they're smaller. You know, I feel like it's been a bit, but the other day, actually it hasn't been the other day, it was a couple weeks ago, we found that we needed a lot of these little cubes to make the same as these big cubes, right? Got stuck on there. I needed 6 of these little ones to make up 3 of the big ones. The smaller the unit, the more we need. I wonder if that's always true. We could probably put that out there in the universe to think about when we can dive into this and keep coming back. But we needed more of those centimeters to measure that same object that was 1 inch. 3 centimeters for 1 inch. Interesting. I wonder if that would always be true. Let's keep going and back and visiting this. Could both of the girls be correct? Yeah, and we proved it, didn't we? We proved Eloise's measurement of 3 centimeters, and we proved Addie's measurement of about one inch, right? It was a little bit longer than 1 inch, but it was about 1 inch. They were both correct. They used different units. I can measure objects using different units. and we're comparing them, right? These units, these centimeters, are smaller than that inch. We needed more of the centimeters than we did of the inch. Let's see if we can do it with something else and see if this is still true. I'd like you to measure your unsharpened pencil. Your unsharpened pencil. Hopefully you have one of those around, either that your teacher gave you or that you just have one hanging around the house. But I want you to measure that unsharpened pencil from eraser to that flat tip, one side to one side. Take a few moments to do that. And I want you to measure it 2 different ways. How am I going to ask you to measure it? You got it. Once with the inch and once with the centimeters. All right, give me a thumbs up when you're done. I drew it up here. Seeing lots of thumbs. It's not taking you guys very long. All right, what were some things you had to think of when you were measuring this pencil, my loves? What did you have to remember to do? Oh, let me make sure that I line this up just right. I want to make sure that I'm showing you what you should see. Okay. What do I have to remember when I'm measuring? All right, so what you measure with inches first, okay? And where am I going to start when I'm measuring my inches? My 0, okay? So I'm going to come on up here and I'm going to line up right on my 0. And what did you notice? It was more than 7, okay? So if you can't see, guys, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's about 7.5. It actually went to this little mark right here, halfway between my 7 and my 8. So we are actually going to jot that down as about 7.5 inches long. I wish it was exact, but it wasn't quite. It's about 7.5 inches long. More than 7, less than 8. Kind of like a half hour. Okay? Is that what you guys got when you measured with your inches? Same. Okay? All right, what about centimeters? Where did you start measuring with your centimeters? Right there at that 0. Let's see what we find. Oh man, here's our 1, 2, 3. It goes all the way to that 19. So it's about 19 centimeters long. Oh dear Gussie, what do you notice? What are some things that you notice about this? 7 is a smaller number than 19. 19 is more than 7. Our centimeters are smaller units, so we need more. I'm going to make a little T-chart here to jot down what we're noticing, okay? Centimeters, inches. And with our paper clip, it was 3 centimeters, only 1 inch. With our pencil, it was 19 centimeters and about 7.5 inches, okay? Both of those, the bigger number is the centimeter side. Shall we keep measuring? Can I have you all measure a piece of paper? It can be a piece of notebook paper. It can be just a piece of plain white paper. Even your math workbooks. This one's one of my kiddos, but your green one that you have for 2nd grade should be the same size. That is actually the same size as this paper, so you could even measure that. Let's measure that and see how long it is. I'm going to measure it while you are. Give me your thumb in front of your tummy when you are done. Looking around. Paper clip. pencil. Let's see about our paper. Okay, I'm seeing thumbs. Alrighty, kiddo, what did you get? How many inches long was your paper? And when I say long, I should have said this before you guys went off to work. Did you all measure this length, this long side right here? Awesome. If you didn't, make sure you're measuring this. If you're at home and you need to pause me, go ahead and pause me. All right, so how long was it when you measured it here? 11 inches. You see where that is? Started on our 0. Let me scoot that over just a hair. It got off just a smidgen. And there's that 11 at the end where it stops. Okay. 11 what? What's my unit? 11 inches. So my paper is 11 inches long. Who can tell me how many centimeters long it is? How many centimeters long is it? And how did you get 28? Starting at the 0, and it stops at just about that 28. What kind of unit? Centimeters. Whoa. 28 centimeters. What do you notice, friends? The centimeters is always the bigger one. We need more of those to measure something, less of the inches. And let's go back to why. Our centimeters are a smaller unit, okay? Our centimeters are a smaller unit than our inch. Our centimeters are about a pinky wide. Our inch is about a thumb long when we're using your guys' fingers. My fingers are a little bit bigger. So your thumb and your pinky are very, very different sizes, aren't they? We need more pinkies to measure these objects than we do thumb lengths. Those are just 2 types of units. Did we measure these objects using different units? We sure did. Inches and centimeters for 3 different objects. Did we compare those measurements? And what did we find? I want you to take just a minute. I want you to turn and tell a neighbor, a friend, a mom, a dad, a grandma, what did we notice as we were measuring using these different units? And I heard somebody say what? The smaller the unit, the more we need. The smaller the unit, the more we need. We're going to keep following up with this and see if this is true. Now, we're going to dive into 2 other units. We're going to keep that centimeter idea, okay? Remember last week we were learning about other tools that we can use to measure, right? We used a ruler, which we've been using already today. We used a yardstick that is made up of 3 feet or a hair over 90 centimeters. But there's also this fantastic tool right here called the meter stick. And that meter stick has centimeters on one side. And guess what? Just like I said last week, it keeps going on and on. 100 centimeters is the same as 1 meter. This meter feels forever, doesn't it? This meter stick is 100 centimeters long. My arms can barely reach to hold this thing and have you guys see it in my screen. So we're going to use these 2 tools. Now, you guys may not have this tool around, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a little body unit to keep in mind. Now, when you are thinking about this meter, we're also thinking about it's 100 centimeters. I want you to keep in mind that a meter is about, if you were to stand tall, okay? If you were to stand up as tall as that 2nd grade body would take you, and you were about an average 2nd grader height, it would probably go up to about your shoulders or about your neck, okay? So from your feet that are on the floor to about your neck is about 1 meter, okay? So if you were to lay down and measure something, or you were to stand up tall, that's about how long a meter would be. So that can kind of give your body an idea of how long that is if you don't have one of these around. They're very hard to find. Now, I have them at school, and I brought one home with me to measure some things. I could not wait. And I was measuring my bed. Now, I had to get some new sheets from my bed, so I had to measure my bed to see how long it was. I decided I'm going to measure this with 2 different units, just like I'm asking my second graders to do this week. So I measured my bed, and I did not measure it from side to side. I measured it from the head of the bed, where my pillow is, to the foot of my bed. And when I measured it from the head of my bed, where my pillow is, to the foot of the bed, where my feet are, I found that it was 2 of these long. 2 meters long. Can you believe that? Holy guacamole. My bed from the head to the feet was 2 meters long. Now, if each meter has 100 centimeters in it, how many centimeters do you think my bed was long? How many centimeters long do you think my bed was if it was 2 meters? Now remember, 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So how many centimeters do you think my bed was? Thumbs in front of your tummies when you think you know. Ooh, these fun, strong mathematicians. How many centimeters long do you think? Why do you say 200? I'm seeing some wiggle waggles. How about you guys at home? Because 100 and 100 are 200. And if there are 2 of these, then there's 200 centimeters. Friends, that is very long, isn't it? Very long. Woo, look at that. Holy guacamole. Can I even get it? Oh, almost. Okay. 2 of these and 200 of these little tiny guys. 200 of those. Now, which is the bigger unit? This big old long stick or one of these guys right here, this pinky? Yeah. The bigger unit is the meters. The bigger unit was the inches. Did you still need more of those smaller units? We sure did. Now, I have a little problem for you. And then you're going to have a chance to do some independent practice at home and be measuring things with 2 different units. Okay? Now, my daughter has a dress, and I had to measure it to see if it was going to be long enough for her because she's getting very tall. Pretty dress, right? Okay. Well, here's her dress, and when I measure it, it is about 1 meter long. Okay? When I measure it, it's about 1 meter long. Now, here's my question for you. This is going to be on your exit ticket. Her dress is 1 meter long. Okay? How many centimeters long, or how many centimeters will that be? And then, are there going to be more centimeters or less centimeters? And how do you know? Will there be more or less centimeters than 1 meter? The meter is our unit. The centimeter is our unit. Will we need more of this unit or less of that unit than this one? And how do you know? If her dress is 1 meter long, will we need more centimeters or more meters to measure that dress? Happy measuring. Tomorrow we're going to do a little bit more of this with some other units of measure. See you tomorrow.